Welcome back, my friends, to TFT Hyper Roll with Autarch, and I was completely shocked when I saw the patch notes, or the early release patch notes for this patch that we're in right now, because all indications are that they are going to buff one of my most used champions that I already thought was overpowered and I was sure was going to get a nerf. So we're gonna have a little week dedicating ourselves to Kobuko. And I wish I had been recording because somebody saw me playing one game and I had Kabuko in it and they were like, oh, it's Autarch. Of course he's playing Kabuko. But we're going to start this week with Lucky Paws because, this just got a lot more powerful with what is supposedly Kabuko's buff. Now, what I like about him is as a one-cost unit, they usually fall off, but he holds on because he's going to scale. When you get him to 3 stars, he's going to be gaining 200 health per round. And all you have to ultimately do is stack additional health on him, and then something like a Dragon's Claw, or if you end up with an Anima Visage via Artifact, he will stand in a 6-bruiser frontline for a long time, sometimes barely taking damage. My top priority whenever I play him is get him to 3 stars by any means possible. So if I see a shot at a champion duplicator, I'm going to take it. I'll roll first just in case there's other things I want, but once you get him to 3 stars, he will just start stacking health very, very quickly, 200 per round. And you can see in this fight just how much he can hold up. He will take all of the aggro and just stand with it, which allows whatever backline you choose, whether it's snipers or trick shot. Those are my 2 favorites for it. There are probably others you can go with, but he'll hold them until they're gone. The NPC round gave us an anvil, and we're looking for health items for Kabuko. Otherwise, it's just going to be backline. So we can grab the Infinity Edge for Kate so that her ult can ultimately crit, which will give her a lot more power. And that choice leads us straight into our second set of augments. I'm pretty set on Pandora's items unless something else jumps out that is an absolute must-take, but nothing did, and if you give me the ability to craft the exact items I want, I'm going to take it. We throw the Giant's Belt on Kabuko because I'm looking for another Giant's Belt so we can make a Warmogs for him. And again, I already thought Kabuko was a little overpowered, especially in Hyper Roll. I don't know if it's different in norms, but when I saw that he was up for a damage buff, I was just like, oh, okay, why not? And let's talk a little about the build. This is Boomstick Brawl. I found this to be actually the most reliable build now for getting into the top 4, not necessarily winning, but it's got all the elements you need. Aphelios is a really good 3-cost sniper. He's going to sunder enemies with his ult, so you don't need an even shroud up front.
Time for a good nap.
And we'll talk about some of the quirks in this build. Generally, I like to split my snipers like this because you never know for sure who you're facing until the very end, and they could have their carries on either side, and your goal is to put as much distance between you and the carries as possible, but that becomes difficult with some of the champs. Let's look at our final set of augments, and then we'll discuss that a little bit more. It's really hard to walk away from New Recruit. Tiny but Deadly is actually a lot of fun because it doesn't impact the health of the champs, just their attack speed, so I don't know why they have to shrink them. But getting an extra player in Boomstick Brawl can be very helpful because then you can get Story Weaver and get the first level Kale to help speed up your champions. But there's one problem, and this was the oddness I was talking about. Senna's ult is going to buff the champions around her. So it necessitates you putting champions on either side of Senna, otherwise you're going to give up what her ult gives you. So once you bring Senna into the fight, you're going to want to put one sniper on either side. Ultimately, you can move one all the way over to the other side, so you're protecting both ends, but that may change if you're a New Recruit and decide to go for the additional Story Weaver, because then you're going to want to clump people around Kale to get the speed buff. Once we go to the 4 snipers, I end up with something like this. Now, the only reason Aphelios is on the outside is because he's at gold 3 stars, has the Rage Blade, the Infinity Edge, so he's not needing the additional boost at this point. Otherwise, I would likely put Caitlyn on the other side and have Aphelios next to Senna for her buff. And as I mentioned, you have a lot of interesting possibilities with your additional champion. This time I ended up getting an Udyr that I was able to take up to 2 stars. That gives you Ink Shadow, and I got an excellent item for Ash. And you can see again, though, Kobuko's really the one holding this up. They managed to take out the left side with their Mythic Monkey, but we win the fight. And I haven't really been showing item choices this match because they didn't matter thanks to Pandora's items. I could just wait and craft, but my basic goal is to get a lot of Rage Blades on my snipers because the faster they're attacking, the less work the front line has to do. Then damage amplifiers like Infinity Edge, Death Blade, anything like that that I can get on. But let's give credit to Kobuko because we are now into the top 4. As far as items go, again, it doesn't really matter, but I'd like to build some Udyr items, and Titan's Resolve is pretty good for Udyr. And this is often the point in the match where you start to see Boomstick Brawl fall off, because your front line is strong, but it's not infinite, and your back line is super squishy. So once you get champs that can reach into the back line, like Irelia and her 8 hex range, that ends up spelling a little bit of trouble because you'll end up going down. It is time for the final item choices of the game, and if we have the option to get an Udyr item like Bloodthirster, I'm going to grab it because we don't necessarily want to mess around and try to hope that we get the right thing. Here, we just want to finish off Galio, who is normally your best bruiser unless you've managed to get a 3-star Kobuko from early in the game who has just been gathering health. And I would love to say I did this on purpose for the video, but I am entirely out of position for this fight. The Mystic Monkey over on the other side needs to be across from Galio so that Galio can taunt it and it can go down. Otherwise, that Mystic Monkey is going to tear apart everything and get into our backline. And you can see, again, backline's really squishy, and a Wukong with a giant mallet is going to ultimately take them down. Now let me talk you through everything that goes on here. Check their board. They are very close to a gold 3-star Wukong. So when I see one, I pick it up. I am going to block any chance they have of getting to a gold 3-star Wukong, which would automatically win them the game. The other thing I'm facing here is how to position. Wukong is on the left, so I want my snipers opposite to them, at least the power spike of my snipers, which is going to be Senna, Ashe, and Aphelios. Udyr's going to hold up Wukong. That's guaranteed because Udyr's going to pick up, slam, and keep Wukong occupied. That's going to allow our snipers to actually put some hurt on that Mythic Monkey and lower him down. Now, is he still going to be able to slam his mallet down and knock out most of our team? Yes, but this is Kabuko week, and yeah, he's very tanky, as you can see. And so when people ask me, is it really the strongest tank in the game? Yeah, pretty much. If you've had him from the beginning and get him fully itemized, he can carry you in late game. Now, the other player asked me, why did they lose that fight after the Ghost Army beat me? And I explained to them it was different positioning. I expected them to alter their position, so I changed some things up and bring my snipers back. But when I now see the Mythic Monkey in the same spot, I know I have lost this round. It's almost, if there was a surrender round button, I would click it here. But I've also noticed their bench no longer has a bunch of Wukongs on it. They sold them off. So I don't have to worry about that gold 3-star Wukong. I have an additional life left where I can get my positioning correct. Whereas if they lost this one, they were out, and Kobuko's going to try his hardest, but there's only so much you can ask of that little guy. Now let's show how this plays out. I'm left with a choice. I'm one Udyr away. I can dump my whole team, go for the gold Udyr, and try to win that way. Or outposition, which means bringing Galio over against the Mythic Monkey, because that monkey will get stuck on Galio, which should allow our snipers to get through. And I know a lot of you would probably rather me have just gone for broke, but I wanted to do it this way. So the plan is Galio across from their monkey, and that's exactly what happens. Notice Galio taunts that entire side of the board that's opposite to our snipers, and snipers do damage based on range, so that allows Kobuko and Galio to hold everything up, and plenty of damage from Aphelios to finish it off. Hope you enjoyed the start of Kabuko Week, where we celebrate the strongest one cost in the game, and as always, have an absolutely awesome day.